Holy shit, this volume was amazing. Like, I didn't think anything could top volume 3. I hoped for escalation, I feared for predictability, but I never could have dreamed of what we got. Of course, for this series, when given a chance, I get to overanalyze. And for this volume, what I got a big ol' whiff of is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of death, fear of the unknown, fear of neglect, fear of the truth. With all the main characters facing their true fears and having to decide on their resolutions, we got another new vampire giving a new insight on the life, while revealing that it's not always a bad thing when things aren't as they seem. After the attack of the previous volume, Ko feels two major emotions throughout the volume: fear and doubt. He fears of the alternatives of what he's only known so far about the vampire life, and doubt of his original resolve of wanting to become a vampire. He's lost absolute reason and is clinging on to any sort of normalcy. His talk with Nazuna is a debate about normalcy. He's attracted to the mysteries of the night. To him, it represents freedom, of getting to be whatever he wants. In Volume 2, he told the woman that he gave up on boredom and the stresses of daily life and wanted to explore and embrace all of freeing aspects of the night that cast societal problems away. With that, we get 4 different conversations battling those two major emotions. His talks with Nazuna and the detective circle around his fear, while Haka and Miharu discuss his doubt. When it comes to his ideology about the nightlife being freedom, Nazuna counters that if the nightlife becomes normal to him, then it will become his new boredom, and he'll eventually want to return to the day life. Typically in a vampire story, this is when the vampire tells the human not to give up on their humanity, and that they have so much more to experience in life. In this story, Nazuna describes to Ko how being a vampire is boring through time. She doesn't want him to lose that freedom from boredom, and if he does become a vampire, then he might too eventually grow bored of the nightlife and no longer want to enjoy it and just trade it in for the day life. For her, it's about ensuring that he still has that option of securing his freedom. Meanwhile, Ko fears that he might lose his freedom in becoming a mindless slave for his next taste of blood. In all this debacle, Ko runs into the detective, and we get a debate on the value of a vampire life. While the detective is ready to kill every last vampire, Ko states that vampires seem just like humans with their flaws and struggles, and there shouldn't be a thing such as irredeemable vampire. The detective then physically takes Ko's freedom of choice away, but making sure the police keep an eye on him while he's out in public. Because Ko is still indecisive of his decision, she makes it for him. Nazuna wants to give Ko the option of making his own choice, while the detective wants to make the choice for what she believes is right. Enter 2 more perspectives to ask Ko what he wants out of his life and becoming a vampire: his high school friend Miharu, and the vampire of the volume, Haka. Although Miharu is in between Ko's 2 conversations with Nazuna, I thought I'd add it here. Miharu pretty much asks Ko what freedom is to him and is it worth becoming a vampire for. Something Nazuna later brings up, Ko can't come up with an answer. But this subconscious decision to run to Nazuna because he's afraid of losing her. Now, I don't know how much of love you have to feel. This is sort of like Dexter, with him not understanding his own feelings. But that's definitely some form of affection and caring if that's his first decision in being afraid of losing everything he's gotten in the past few months. Then there's Haka, a vampire to introduce us in an entirely different aspect of the vampire life once again. Haka reveals that the vampire world is just as a mystery to vampires as humans. There is no overlord who knows all the answers and tells everyone everything. It's just as confusing and scary as being a human. But what he does know, he enjoys in. Just like when Ko first finds that Haka is actually a guy, it's at first a shock, but over time in the chapter, isn't about whether he was a guy or a girl in the first place, but that Ko feels comfortable around him, because he understands that he doesn't want to kill Ko, nor is he bored about being a vampire. Ko understands about Haka throughout their discussion, and what leads to Ko to understand himself, that it isn't about fearing a boring vampire life, but fearing that Nazuna will grow bored of him. And that's what he wants to make sure never happens. Whether human or vampire, or boy or girl, Ko never truly understood anyone, but he does want to eventually understand Nazuna. And his first course of action is to take his fears head on, being chased by 2 cops and overcoming that fear into growth. And in this case, facing a fear can be fun at times for him. Nazuna's confrontation is irrelevant because it's still the same consequences, with possibly them threatening to kill Nazuna as well, along with her pretty much stating that she cares a lot about Ko, which gives the other vampires much wanted love drama. And the scene with Ko is cute because it's showing that Nazuna clearly is falling for him. It has a parallel of when they first met, and we get another kiss. And if anything, like in the earlier book, now it shows that she's afraid that he's going to get bored of her instead, and that she wants to become someone that he can fall in love with, not just because it's at stake, but because it's her personal choice. The Nazuna and Haka chapter is cute because it's showing how much more serious Naza is trying to take her responsibilities. Again, Nazuna clearly fell in love once before because she's a vampire. The question could be, was she just used? Does she not trust love? And that's why she's against it? Did the vampire that turned her tell her she'll never be loved and that no one could ever love her, so Nazuna chose to be different because of that? Lots of questions. But the main question could be, has anyone ever fallen for Nazuna before? And if not, that could be why she's concerned about not being able to turn Ko and looking for help, as well as she's clearly oversensitive of being able to handle her emotions when actually confronting her feelings. Akira and Mahiru both offer to be Ko's first snacks if he ever turns, which is a sweet declaration of friendship, though I'm pretty sure Akira would turn, because if he turned just a little cuter, she would definitely fall for him, since it's already debatable that she has a crush on him currently. Then we meet Kiku, a vampire that's been getting hyped up since Volume 3. She likes to do things her own way, and she seems a very scary threat in Ko's world. Based on the previous stories, Mahiro is learning that there may be vampires you can trust, but Kiko is showing that there are also vampires that you may have to fear as well. For not only is she possibly feeding off him, but she's also maybe planning to turn him, if not just kill him. Because we don't know what love tastes like, and she seems like she can't wait to taste that. Overall, I love how they constantly top expectations and manage to drift from the norm of a story and remaining their own original kind of storytelling. For ratings, I'll rate this a 4.5 out of 5, and here are the ratings I do on my Insta for the previous volumes. 3 is still on top for me, but this volume did wonders in expanding its characters while keeping its world a mystery.